Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing part 2 of question and answer. Several weeks ago I asked you on Facebook and here on the community tab to ask me any questions that you wanted answers to. And I already filmed a part 1 to this question and answer, and that was the personal side. So those were all of your personal questions. I even played the piano for you. So I will link that video below in case you haven't seen it. But today's video, I am going to be answering your questions, or giving my best shot at answering your questions about makeup and hair. Now, several of your questions I have either done a video on or plan to do a video on because I think the topic is one that warrants its own video. So if I've already done a video on your question, I will link it down below. And if not, stay tuned for future videos to answer some of your top questions. All right, so diving right in, we're gonna start off with all of your hair questions. One of the things that people ask me all the time is, how often do I get my hair cut and colored? I get my hair cut every 4 weeks and colored every 3 months. What colors does my stylist use? She basically just uses bleach. So the dark color that you're seeing here, she has said is about a level 5 ash brown, and that is my natural hair color. And so it takes a very high volume bleach in order to get it this bright. So she uses a volume 30 to 40. I know that is really super high and intense, but on my particular hair, it goes orange or copper or a very strawberry red if we don't use a higher enough volume. So if you're struggling with that, you may ask your stylist if she will use a higher volume bleach. Now, I often get asked the question, how long is my hair in the various sections? And this particular question that I received this time said that her stylist says she doesn't understand how short my hair really is and therefore talks you out of getting this cut. So basically, I have had a longer pixie style and I've had various lengths of it. So I'll kind of give you the range of lengths based on kind of where it is currently and where I have had it in the past. So when my hair was the longest back here on the very bottom edge, I usually would come away from a cut, a fresh cut, with about 1.5 inches, I would say, down here. Currently, I'm due for a cut, so I'm not going to even tell you what it is currently, but when I had my hair shaved and did the undercut, it was 3/4 inch or shorter. It may have even been tapered down to about 1/2 inch. Now, over the ears, when I had my hair longer, I would have her taper it from the edge of the earlobe up. Right now, it has been shaved and is getting ready to get cut again. So the front part, I have also had varying lengths. When I had my hair more in that spiky style, my front bangs were actually a little bit shorter. And so I kind of like to keep them around the eyebrow length. Right now, they are closer to about the tip of my nose. Now, this section right here is the last section that is kind of the mystery area. And so again, when I was wearing my hair longer, this section was about 1.75 inches to 2 inches. And then it would kind of slightly taper down towards the back. Right now, I would say she's been keeping this section a little bit shorter, about maybe even 1.5 inches or so. And then she tapers it forward to kind of gradually get a little bit longer. Now, I have several salon visits and they include kind of all of my various different cuts that I've had. So I will try and link all of those salon visits below so you can check out the one that kind of matches the style that you're looking for, and hopefully that will help. Would I ever consider going with all natural hair color, so completely dark? I have actually gone dark, and several of the pictures I shared in the previous part 1, you will see that I had dark hair. And I like my hair dark, but what I found is when it's all basically one color or dark, I don't see the dimension that the highlights add and the texture. So I personally like more of a textured look, and that's why I keep the highlights. Now, I've also been asked if I would ever consider doing fun temporary colors like pink or purple or something, and I've contemplated it a few times. It's a little tricky, especially on the bleached hair, because it can grab. So even though it's temporary, sometimes it lasts a little longer. So I haven't quite been ready to kind of dig into that, but you never know. Have I ever considered having hair extensions? And I actually have thought about it a few times, and I've watched a couple of videos, seen a few YouTubers do it, and then decided, I don't think I want to commit to that. Hair extensions are a fun way to go from this to quite long, and so that would be the reason why I would do it, but it is quite a process, and you have to be so careful with the care of them, and then it can damage your hair. So for those reasons, I've kind of shied away from it, and my hair does grow pretty quickly, but of course it would still take me a long time to go from this to a bob style. So at this point, I'm not considering it, but it would be a fun, quick change. Now, if you have seen any of my hair tutorials, you will know the one product that I use basically all the time, and that is the Enjoy Dry Wax. Several of you have said, where do I buy it? I can't find it in stores. And you are right, it is only sold in select salons. The best recommendation I have for you is to go to the Enjoy Hair Care website, and they have a salon locator. So you can type in, I think it's your zip code, and they will pull up all of the salons around you that actually carry their products. And I've had several of you do that and be shocked that a salon right down the street from you actually carried that product. So do that. That's the best recommendation. I have ordered it on occasion from Amazon and had mixed results. As you know, on Amazon, there are a lot of true products and a lot of non-authentic products. So I have actually received a couple of jars from various sellers that were not the authentic product. So be careful if you're ordering it on Amazon. But now, regarding Enjoy Dry Wax, I've had a couple of questions. One is, you are saying that suddenly your hair is feeling greasy. Are you using too much? And I would say yes. Enjoy Dry Wax is kind of a deceiving product. With most pomades and gels, you kind of feel like you need a good size, like dime size or a large pea size. And with Enjoy Dry Wax, especially if you've gone to a shorter version of this cut, you actually need to use even less of that product. Now, it's been a while since I've gone into great detail as far as how I use it. So in my next hair tutorial, I will make sure to include a little extra explanation of how I distribute it through the hands, work it through the hair, etc. Now, if you have just gotten your hair cut in a short style, whether it be the spiked style like I wore or like this, you will know that the hair kind of needs training. And so I had the question, how do you get your hair trained to spike better? And basically, after about a week after you've had a cut, the hair is going to start knowing what to do. But always after a cut, even for me, after all these years of having this cut, the hair is kind of in shock for the first several days, and it just takes a little bit of training. Now, if you're trying to spike the back, the best thing to do is to first go in with Root Boost when your hair is wet. And I use that in all of my tutorials. And then to blow dry your hair upside down and really work your hands through the back with your head upside down and just really get that hair going. And that does help. That kind of helps get the hair kind of trained in the way that it's supposed to go. Now talking about styling, why do I turn my blow dryer on a cool low setting to finish drying my hair? Great question. Two reasons. One is that cool air actually helps set the style that I've been working to kind of put into place. So you're using that heat with the styling product that's in there, and it's kind of molding the hair, but if you keep the hair warm, it can fall and get a little out of shape. So if you put the cool air on it, it helps set the style and hold it kind of in place, or freeze it in place, so to speak. And then also I found that it kind of helps add a little bit of shine. It's gonna kind of seal out the hair, and it just adds a tiny little bit of shine. It's the same philosophy as rinsing your hair with cold water at the end of your shower. That can also help add a little extra shine. Several of you have asked specifically, where is my stylist located? Well, she is in Southern California. Now, since this is the World Wide Web and we live in the world that we live in, I don't want to give the specific location here on this video, but if you send me an email or a Facebook message, I will give you her location and where you can call to get an appointment. Now, along with that, several of you have asked, would I come out and style your hair? I would love that. That would be so much fun. In fact, I told my stylist she and I need to go on the road together. We could do a hair tour and go around to various states and countries and all of that. That would be great fun. No plans of that yet, but I'll keep you posted. And the final question in the hair category, I had another comment as far as you are seeing wig ads and websites that sell wigs using my pictures and videos. So if you've not seen the video I did about this, I will link it down below, but I am aware of that, and unfortunately there isn't a whole lot I can do about those websites directly. The ads, I can report them to Facebook and Pinterest, so feel free to share those ads. I do need the specific pin from Pinterest or the specific ad link from Facebook in order to report it. I have been reporting those. Thank you for all of you who've been helping me do that. Facebook and Pinterest is taking them down, but it seems like as quickly as they take them down, a new company puts more up. So it's kind of a constant battle, and I am though aware of these wig websites. The websites are ones that there's really nothing I can do, but for you, keep spreading the word not to buy from those websites because they are not authentic wigs, and obviously they're showing pictures of my real hair to advertise for a wig. So I've seen some of those wigs, and trust me, you don't want one. All right, moving on to makeup questions. I have 2 full pages of questions from you guys, so I'm gonna try and move through these as quickly as possible. And if there is more detail that needs to be said, I will do a video on them. So first of all, I've received numerous questions about eyeliner. How do you keep it from smudging? What is the best retractable one? What can you do to keep it in the waterline, etc.? Okay, so for the best retractable eyeliners, there are 2 that I have tried that I find are budge proof, and one is by Marc Jacobs. Those eyeliners, oh my goodness, they are so hard to get off. I actually don't like to put them in my waterline because they are so difficult to remove. So if you are somebody who has really watery eyes, or you have tried Urban Decay eyeliners, you've tried several others, give Marc Jacobs one a try, and that is retractable. It's not sharpenable. And then the other one that I really love is the IT Cosmetics No Tug waterproof eyeliner, and it also is a retractable pencil. That I have also found to be extremely budge proof. What is important to do, even though you might not be wearing eyeshadow, always start with an eyeshadow primer. This is also going to be essential to keeping your eyeliner in place because our lids get oily, and even though a pencil can be waterproof, it's usually not oil proof. So you need a good eyeshadow primer on first. So apply your eyeshadow primer, and then if you have difficulty below your lash line, Also put a little bit of that eyeshadow primer right under your lashes. Don't bring it down into your whole under eye area, because then you can get some cakiness with your concealer. We don't want that. Now, as far as your waterline, how do you get that to stay? Because you don't want to put primer there. That is right. Two things you want to do. First, when you line your inner rim with that pencil, do 2 coats. So put 1 coat in the inner rim, let it sit and set, and then go back over it, and then add a little bit of eyeshadow on a fine tip brush, something like this, and you're going to stamp that into the roots of your lashes. Be careful not to get it in your eyes. And then also, this is helpful to set your eyeliner below your lashes as well. So you're going to take a little bit of powder shadow and you're going to press it into on top of that eyeliner. On your upper lash line as well, you can also set your eyeliner in place. That is another way to really make sure it is budge proof. So you put on your cream pencil liner and then go over the top of it with a little bit of shadow. Now, the other thing that you can do on the outside of the eye to prevent your eyeshadow and your eyeliner from kind of making trails around the outside of your eye throughout the day is, after you've applied your concealer, foundation, all of that, go in with an angled brush, and this is just a flat angled brush, and you can try 2 things. One is you could use the MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot or Painterly or whatever one matches your skin tone. You can take a little bit on a brush like this and just go right along the edge of your eyeshadow, kind of where you want the angle to go. And because it should be close to your skin tone, it's going to blend right in. You can tap in that line so it doesn't look like you've got a line there. Or you can go in with some setting powder on an angled brush like this and go right below the outer edge of your eye, tap it in there, and that also should help prevent anything from bleeding around the edge of your eye throughout the day. Now, keeping in theme with how to keep your eye makeup on throughout the day, several of you had mentioned you struggle with super oily eyelids. I do as well, and I've had times, especially in the summer when it's hot and humid, and my oily eyelids, and oh my goodness, it can just end up being a mess. So what is the best product for that? The best eyelid primer that I have ever found, and that I have used in the most extreme circumstances, and I have not had any issues with fading or smearing or creasing of my eyeshadow, is by NARS, and it was their original eyeshadow primer. They now have a couple that have tints to them that can provide a little bit of coverage. I've heard mixed reviews on those. I do want to give those a try as well, but the one that I know works and I have tried it out is the original NARS eyeshadow primer. It's a clear, goes on clear, and it really works. So if you have super oily eyelids, try that. Now, another thing that you can try, and this goes along with a question I received about how you can get coverage. If you've got discoloration on your eyelids and you put on a clear primer, but you still got all that discoloration, how do you cover that up? Well, if you don't have super oily eyelids, you can go on top of your primer with a little bit of concealer. However, for me, that doesn't work. Even concealers that have a pretty stiff, like dry down, like tart shape tape, that still will crease on me. So my recommendation is to either test out the NARS tinted primer, or I will do something, I'll do a 2-part priming. So I will go in first with my Smashbox 24-hour eyeshadow primer. This is also up there with one of the best, I think. And so I will put that on, and then before it dries and sets, I will go in with a little bit of the MAC Paint Pot. These are actually meant for the eyes. I know I use them around the edge of the lips and everywhere else, but these are actually meant to be eyeshadow primers. This on its own is not enough for me, but it does provide coverage. So what I will do is tap this in, spread it all around, and right before it dries and sets, I will just tap a little bit, and a little bit goes a long way with the primer, with the paint pot. I will tap a little bit of it and blend it up towards the brow. So those would be my two recommendations to try if you want coverage and staying power with your eyeshadow primer. How do you keep eyeshadow from falling on your face when you are applying? This is a very common issue for all of us. So the first thing that you should do, if you're using a softer eyeshadow formula, you're going to want to take your brush and tap it off. I just usually go like this and tap off to the side, but I know that I'm still gonna have some fallout. If you wanna make sure you get all of the excess product off of your brush first, before applying, you're gonna wanna tap it onto a hard surface. The second way is to use a setting spray. So you've seen me do this, and I like to do this with shimmery shadows especially, because that glitter fallout, oh, that is the worst to clean up. So one way to prevent that, not only tapping off your brush, but spritz your brush with some setting spray. And I just use any of my setting sprays. You can also use MAC Fix Plus, that works well as well. But spritz your brush, then apply the eyeshadow to your eyes, and you won't have that fallout. Speaking of eyeshadows, what are the best eyeshadows and palettes for mature eyelids? Now, this particular person said that she didn't want just solely matte eyeshadows, and I completely agree with that. I think that if you have a beautiful satin, or what I like to call a gentle shimmer, I think that can still look beautiful on mature eyelids. And I also think that there should be no rules. So if you are 75 and you want to wear glitter, wear glitter. But most of you aren't wanting to apply glitter, but you do want something with a little bit of a sheen or a shimmer. So I would say, first of all, you're gonna look for a formula that says satin finish. So MAC Cosmetics is one of the top recommendations I would make for you. They sell individual shadows in pans that you can buy. I think they might be now $7. But they have various formulas of their shadows, and their satin finish would be perfect. Satin or pearl. Pearl also is another finish to look for in all eyeshadows, because pearl isn't going to have like diamond glitter particles in it. It just sometimes even has crushed pearl. So you think about that pearlescent sheen. So that's what you're gonna look for. Now, a couple of eyeshadow palettes that I actually have recommended, I think are beautiful for mature skin, would be the Lorac Pro palettes. This is Pro 4, which I particularly love. It has a whole row of mattes, which are excellent for all of us at any age. And then these shimmers are not chunky shimmers, and really only the gold one is more of a metallic finish. The rest of them are very soft and subtle. So this would definitely be at the top of my list of recommendations. Another brand that has several palettes that I actually feel like would work well with mature eyelids would be Tarte, and I've actually used the In Bloom palette on one of my good friends from church. She was 60 and it looked beautiful on her, and I did use the shimmers in that palette. Buxom also, you don't really hear many people talking about Buxom, and I'm actually planning a video on these two palettes, but Buxom actually has some really good eyeshadows. They also have a system where you can buy individual shadows, pick out your own colors, and create your own palette. So those would be a couple of recommendations kind of in the higher end. And then at the drugstore, Milani has just re-released kind of some, they redid their eyeshadow palettes. They're smaller ones, and they have ones like this, and I have found their formula so far to be actually really nice. And some of their palettes have more glitter looking shadows in them, but just look for the compilation of colors and possible finishes, and again, you're going to look for that satin or pearl finish description. Now, mascara and lashes. First of all, do lash serums really work? Well, I have not personally tried a lash serum. I have tried brow serums, one in particular, the Rapid Brow, and it totally works. Now, my best friend uses the lash serum from Rodan & Fields, and it absolutely 100% works. Her lashes are like to her eyebrows. They are so long and thick, and it does make hers a little bit darker. Now, the only thing that you need to keep in mind about a lash serum, brow serums included, are that they only work while you're using them. Once you stop using them, even though you might have full lashes at that time, your lashes are going to go back to basically their natural state. So that can be something that is a misconception. You think, well, I got my lashes growing, now I can stop using the serum. You can, but your lashes are going to go back to what they were before. So just keep that in mind. Now, the second question was, what is my favorite mascara brand and where do I get it to make my lashes look their longest and fullest? Well, if you've seen many of my tutorials, the main brand that you will see occur over and over again is the IT Cosmetics Superhero Mascara. That is by far, hands down, I think the best and fastest at building volume and length. Now, I did a video all about lash primers, and I personally feel like a lash primer can be a game changer for you. No matter what mascara you're using, it can really amp up that performance of that mascara. So I will link that down below, but I do love the Origins Underwear for Lashes and the L'Oreal Voluminous Primer. And just a side note, the video that is going around of me promoting this, I don't even know what it's called, Galactic Mascara, I don't know what it is, but they have stolen my video where I did mascara kind of tips, and I show you kind of a side-by-side comparison, and they're using that comparison of me using the L'Oreal Voluminous Primer and the L'Oreal Mascara as if it were their mascara because it looks amazing. So I will also link that video down below because not only a primer and a good formula, but there's also a couple of other tips that you can do to make your lashes look fuller and longer. What is the best eyelash curler? In my opinion, the only one that has ever worked for me is the one by Tweezerman, and it's specifically for round eyes. I don't really feel like I have super round eyes, but this curler I can actually get right up to the roots of my lashes. It fits into the concave part of my eye, and it really works. So I will link that down below, but I found it at Sephora. Now, the last question that has to do with mascara is false eyelash help. I feel ya. That is actually why I don't wear false lashes. One of the reasons. One of the YouTubers that I mentioned in the Q&A video, my part 1, is Shona Scott, and she has done 2 or 3 really good videos on how to apply false lashes, and she has a couple of tips and tricks, or she calls them eyelash hacks, that are really helpful. So I will link her videos down below, and hopefully that will help you with your false eyelash application. Okay, so moving on to concealer and foundation questions. Okay, so let's talk concealer first. Oh my goodness, do we all just have that battle of trying to find the right concealer, especially as we get older, that concealer that is not going to crease and make our lines look even deeper, right? Okay, so I have done a video, which I will link down below, on tips to try with your concealer to help prevent cakiness and the lines from forming or getting worse throughout the day. So the best tip that I found, and it was actually I think featured in an Allura Beauty magazine tip, and that is to apply your concealer first of all with your fingers, and you're going to continue to work it in. I know it takes a little more time, but that is the best way that I have found to help prevent creasing and cakiness with your concealer. The second thing is you want to use a minuscule amount of concealer. I know we've all watched those tutorials of those beautiful young ladies, and they slap on this huge V of concealer, and we think that we should do it that way too. No. I think it was about maybe 5 years ago or so, it might have even been before that, when I realized that I could not do that. It just makes things really bad. So if you have any fine lines, if you have any dryness under your eyes, do not do that. You want to apply a tiny little bit, and depending on the formula of your concealer, it might be even less than you think. So the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye Concealer is one of my favorites for mature skin. Now it does take a little finessing because you really only need, and I mean a pin drop. So if you take a stick pin and the head of that pin, that's even a little too much for both of your eyes. You want to work it into the back of your hand, warm it up, and then with your fingers tap it on. That is what I have on today, and that is one of my favorites because it also gives you some longer lasting skin benefits. Now, the other concealers that I use in that video would be the Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. I do really like that one, mixed with the Revlon Candid Concealer. I have also enjoyed the Tarte Creaseless Concealer, Maracuja Creaseless Concealer. I in fact used that on my friend Kathy here, and it looked beautiful on her. But the key to that concealer is a tiny amount. So how do you pick out the right concealer for you? One of my subscribers said she went to Ulta and was checking out the Tarte Creaseless Concealer, and the Ulta Beauty rep talked her out of it. Basically, you want to know what your skin type is. So sometimes the younger gals who work those stores, they like Tarte Shape Tape. And there are actually more mature ladies that like that too. That has never worked for me under my eyes, no matter what I tried. So if you have super dry under eyes, you're gonna wanna look for Tarte Maracuja Creaseless Concealer, the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye, the Bare Minerals Bare Skin Serum Concealer is also another one. That one is more of a light to medium coverage. So you want to pick a formula that matches what your skin issues are. Now I know some of you have more oily under eye areas, so you're not going to need something with that much hydration. The second thing you're going to look for is coverage amount. So the IT Cosmetics, the Tarte Maracuja, those are all basically full coverage, medium to full coverage. If you don't need full coverage, don't go for a full coverage concealer. Go for the Bare Minerals Serum Concealer. That is this one. This one is a very nice, lightweight, and it gives you light to medium coverage. I'll use this on a day when I'm just doing kind of more of a BB cream, CC cream on my face. And this just gives a little bit of concealing, and it is slightly hydrating. The next thing that you are not going to want to do is you do not want to just cake on the powder. We don't do baking at this age, only in the kitchen with cookies and cakes and brownies and all of that. So no baking under the eyes for us. Instead, if you need to set your concealer, and the IT Cosmetics and the Tarte one, I do feel like I need to set with just the tiniest amount of powder. So you're just going to want to actually even probably dust off any excess powder on your brush first, and then just lightly tap in from the outer corner in, because you're going to get the most of your powder off your brush here and then going in towards the center. And then the other question that relates to under eye concealer is corrector, and how do you pick the right color of concealer and corrector. So I do fully promote using a corrector under your eyes if you have darker circles, because a corrector is going to help you not have to use as much concealer. So a couple of correctors that I use are no longer available. Oh my goodness. But one that I have found still at QVC, and I'm hoping that they bring it back to Sephora, is the Boing Brightening Concealer. My philosophy on a corrector is you want to use a corrector that is a little bit darker than your problem color. So I use, let's see, this is number 3. So it's still not super dark, but it is a little bit darker than the concealer that I'm going to use. But it's dark enough to cover the darkness under my eyes or correct it. So I just tap on the tiniest amount of this. I would say on your corrector, go maybe a little bit deeper than what you think. And then for your concealer, you want to, I think that you want to aim for either the color of your skin or maybe one shade lighter. Do not go 2 shades lighter because then we end up with white rings under our eyes. And actually, as we get older, that skin under our eyes actually lightens up. It's kind of weird. So typically on more mature skin, I would say aim for a color of concealer that is your foundation color match. On to foundation and primers and help with all of that. Okay, so the first question was, how do you reduce the look of pores on your face and oiliness and breaking down a foundation? What's the best primer? What's the best powder? What's the best foundation? So it's kind of interesting because I find myself in this category more often than not throughout the year. And it is an interesting kind of area for us mature gals because most of the foundations and primers for anti-aging have lots of hydration and lots of oils and all of that. And I do feel like it's important to still hydrate your skin because otherwise our oily skin will become more oily. But during the day with foundation on, it can be a struggle. So I'm going to give you a couple of recommendations. We'll start first with primers. Now, personally, I actually rarely use a primer because the foundations that I use, I feel like perform great without it. And I think a good foundation should not need a primer. However, if you are super oily and have super enlarged pores, there are a couple that I have found that actually work. Now, again, just like as we were talking about concealer, you want to go in with small amounts of these. So the first one is the Tarte, this is called the Timeless Smoothing Primer. I think it used to be called the Smooth Operator or something like that. But this comes in a jar. And this is, it almost feels mousse-like, but what you're gonna notice, it has a silicone base, and when you press it into the skin, you can see it kind of mattifies and it instantly smooths your skin. Now, the trick with this type of a primer is you want to make sure it's going to mesh with the foundation that you put over the top of it. So this is not going to work well with a water-based foundation, but it will work well with a foundation that has some dimethicone in it. This is a really nice primer, and again, the way I like to do this, if I'm really having a large pore issue, I will just put it here in my T-zone. You don't need to smear it all over your face, just in the areas where you have issues, and you're gonna press it into your skin and use just the tiniest amount. The other one that I really like is by Coats, and it's a sunscreen and a primer mixed in one. I have the tinted version, and again, it is a dimethicone based primer, so it's going to work best with a dimethicone type foundation or a powder foundation. I do love this with the Bare Minerals Original Foundation over the top, but you can see it has a slight little bit of a hint of tint, but this is also waterproof, and it really sets down and it immediately makes your skin just look really nice and smooth. So those are two that I recommend. I do not like personally the Benefit Professional. Several like that have not worked for me. The other one that I have had pretty decent success with is the Smashbox Photo Finish Original Foundation Primer. This also has dimethicone in it, but it's not quite as smoothing as these other two that I've mentioned, but it does help your foundation stay on a little bit longer through the day. Now, best foundations for oily skin and large pores. I have 3 that I'm going to recommend for you. So these specifically, I think, are the most hardcore at keeping your foundation in place, but they also work on mature skin. And that is the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. This is so inexpensive, but it works very well. It dries down, it's super lightweight, has great coverage, full coverage. Actually, all of these are full coverage. medium to full. The second one would be the Peach Perfect. This is the Comfort Matte Foundation from Too Faced. What I love about this one has a little more of a natural finish on the skin, so it's very forgiving. I think this one does a great job of kind of making uneven texture blurred, but it stays and lasts really well throughout the day. So this is another one that I have found to be very long lasting and great for pores, and it actually has peach and sweet fig cream. I tried to combine those words and it didn't quite work. Sweet fig cream. And then the third one, and this is my go-to when I need a full long day and maybe evening of makeup and I know that the conditions are going to be all over the place, is the Bare Minerals Bare Pro Liquid Foundation. This, hands down, I've tried it against the Estee Lauder Double Wear, and this one, I mean, Estee Lauder just didn't even compare. This has amazing coverage. I do apply it with a beauty blender because I feel like that gives the most natural coverage, but you can build it up in certain areas, but you really don't need to do a thick layer. It stays really well, and all three of these I actually use without a primer and feel like they last amazingly well. Best powders for oily skin. Okay, so my tips for you would be, first of all, when you're applying your powder after you've applied your foundation, use a powder puff like this, and you're gonna wanna press in the powder, almost like you're baking. So what you see those girls do under their eyes, that's what you want to do on your face. You want to get a decent amount of powder and pack it into your T-zone. And then if you have excess, you can dust it off with your powder brush. Now, two from the drugstore that I find are very long wearing and really do help my makeup, I think, stay really well are, the first one's by Wet n Wild. This is their Photo Focus translucent powder, and you get this huge tub of this. And the other one has been a long time, for many years I have gone back and forth to this one, and it's the Coty Airspun powder, and I have it in the translucent extra coverage. Now, my favorite powder, and this is going to seem strange to you oily girls, is actually the Becca Hydra Mist powder. This has some amazing ability to lock in my foundation, and it's also my favorite touch-up powder. So if I start getting a little shiny through the day, or I'm going to be going out in the evening and I want to make my makeup look fresh, I'll pull out a powder puff and press this in. I don't even blot. I just press it right over and it immediately mattifies. I'm wearing it today and I just love this powder. All right, so if you're saying, those are all great and wonderful, Sharalee, but I have dry skin and I want full coverage. Well, one of my top most highly recommended foundations for drier skin or more mature skin that I feel like is super forgiving, it also has skin loving ingredients and benefits, is the IT Cosmetics, what is this called? Confidence in a Compact. I love this foundation. It definitely gives more of a dewy finish, but it is full coverage and you can easily build this up. So it's become a little harder to get. I think you can only get it on the IT Cosmetics website, but this would be my top recommendation for full coverage for mature skin. The final question in this kind of foundation category is, how do you prevent kind of that cakiness and that buildup around your nose throughout the day? We've all been there, especially if you have oily skin or combination skin. You can look in the mirror at about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're like, oh my word, and it just looks like product is just sitting right there. And then it can also have broken down around kind of the bottom edge of your nose. Again, kind of like what we talked about with the concealer, you want to use even less product in that area. So after you've applied your foundation, go back in with your finger or even a damp beauty blender or sponge and just tap over that area and make sure that you get any excess product out of the crease of your nose. I will also do that in my smile line or in the forehead lines on my forehead, and that will help as the foundation wears through the day to not have excess buildup. Also, what you can do if you've got oily skin is just take a 1-ply tissue. So take your tissue and peel it apart and just press that right into the crevices of the nose, and that's going to absorb any oil. And then you can kind of press over with your finger, and that will keep it from breaking down or looking very strange. And then the final tip would be, when you are doing your foundation, you've finished, take a beauty puff like this and press powder in that area to really help set that foundation that you have on there. All right, so do I use a makeup mirror? Yes, I do. And as I've gotten older, I have really appreciated the added benefits of having magnification as well. So my favorite beauty mirror, I included this in my Christmas gift list recommendations, and it is this one by Eric Specht. I recently had to repurchase it because I traveled with it, and the way I packed it, it ended up getting broken, the mirror inside. So it got crunched. That was my fault. It's not the fault of the mirror. So I ordered a different one that was a little bigger, different brand, and oh my word, it's going back. This one is still the best. So this is by Eric Specht, and it does have this stand easily removes. Many of these do not. Like, once you click it in place, you can't get it off. This one you can. It does have a plug-in capability and a light. I don't have it plugged in, obviously, but what I love, I'll try not to blind you here, is it has a really good size center part. On this side is a full-length regular mirror, and then over here are 2 mirrors. This top one is 2 times magnification, and this one's 3 times magnification. So again, I got this on Amazon. I think it was around $22, $23. I'll link it below if I can find it. Now, one person asked, do I use any serums or recommend any serums on my face? I have been trying over the last probably 6 to 8 months several different serums, and honestly, I go back to my tried and true. It's very inexpensive, but it is by the brand Now Solutions. I get it on VitaCost. I think you can get it in some health food stores, but it's the hyaluronic acid serum, and I think that that does a great job for me. So I will link that also down below. It's around $12 unless you get it on sale, but I just feel like it does actually provide that little bit of the hyaluronic acid serum. It kind of just helps keep the fine lines at bay, and it also, I feel like, helps my moisturizer or oils at night or whatever I'm using. It helps them absorb into the skin a little bit better. Okay, so I had 2 different questions about colors of makeup. So choosing which color of eyeshadows, first of all, for a specific eye color type. So this woman was asking about the best eyeshadow colors for blue eyes, and I am doing a video about all of that. So I have kind of corralled my good friends and had them send me pictures with their various eye colors, and so I'm going to do a whole video about that, showing you which eyeshadow colors really make your eyes stand out, your eye color stand out. So stay tuned for that. But the second question I will just briefly address here, and I thought it was a very good one. It's very insightful. So can you use your skin's undertone as a guideline for picking out eyeshadow colors, blush colors, lipstick colors, etc.? And the answer is yes. So in summary, let's see, in my how to pair eyeshadows together video that I did, I'll link it below, I talked about how you figure out what your skin's undertone is. So there's 3 basic categories: pink undertones, neutral undertones, and yellow/olive undertones. And so if you know what your skin tone is and you're looking at eyeshadows or you're looking at blush or lipstick, it doesn't mean that you can't wear eyeshadows or blushes or whatever that have those other undertones. However, it does mean that if you choose products with the same undertone as you choose for your foundation, it's going to make those colors look more natural and seamless with your skin tone. So let's just take the pink undertone for a second. If you have pink undertones in your skin, you're going to want to look for products that have more cooler undertones to them. So your pinks are going to be more the blue pinks. Your reds are going to be more red, blue reds. Your blushes are going to be more kind of mauvey. Eyeshadows, those grays, the cooler purples are going to look amazing. And you're not going to have to work as hard to make those look kind of blended and more realistic like I will, because I have yellow undertones. So for me, I can wear yellow eyeshadow. I can wear kind of that rusty orange eyeshadow, and it doesn't look so crazy on me. Now for neutral, you are very fortunate because you can kind of go both sides, but technically neutral is peach undertones, which is the combination of pink and yellow. And so you are going to do much better if you're looking more in that peach kind of neutral browns, so to speak, so they're not super cool, not super warm. So yes, the long answer to that question is yes, you can use the undertone of your skin to help you choose blush, eyeshadow, and lipstick, but don't let that keep you from wearing eyeshadows or blushes or whatever in those other categories. Just know that you might have to do a little extra work blending. Now, one question I received was, have I ever tried mascara makeup? And I'll put here, I'll spell it out for you. So if you're not familiar with this brand, it is kind of an interesting brand. I did a little research on it, and it's not one that's readily available. So no, I have not tried it. However, I'm very intrigued. This person said she loves it, especially their 3D foundation on her mature skin. So I'm very interested in checking it out, but I have not yet done so. All right, we're getting down to the final 3 questions. Hallelujah, right? Okay, so the one question I received was, where do you find the products that I use in the UK, in the stores there? That is going to be something that I'm going to have to ask help from all of you. Those of you who live in the UK, where do you like to shop for beauty products, especially the ones I'm sharing? So I know a lot of the drugstore brands, I believe you call them high street. A lot of those brands are sold in your high street stores. You actually have several of the brands that I wish we carried here, like Lottie, London, etc. Now the higher end brand, I believe you have Sephora stores there, but outside of that, I am not sure. So if anybody is watching who lives in the UK and can help this subscriber out, please comment down below. What is the best sunless tanner, and one that is not orange, that doesn't streak and doesn't smell? Isn't that what we all want? I am happy to say that I have found 2 that are my tried and true, and of course I have videos on these products as well. I'll link them down below, but in short, my favorite one from the drugstore is the Jergens Instant Sun. This is now going on, I don't know, 3 or 4 years strong. This one has a guide color. I always get it in the deep bronze, and this is one of the best, and I do not even feel like it has a tiny little bit of a scent, but it is not, I repeat, not that awful sunless tanner smell. And I won't go into details of how I apply it because I do have a video on that, but that's my favorite from the drugstore. And then my other more higher end favorite, which I found a 1.5 years ago, is by Tanceuticals, and this smells like coconut. It is delicious and it works so well. It has a beautiful natural color. Same with the Jergens. It gives you a very nice natural color. I prefer this in the lotion version. I've tried the foam, don't care for it. This one does not have a guide color, but I have still found it very easy to apply without streaks. So one of the final questions is, how much time does it take me to do my hair and makeup? Don't we all want to know that? I even want to know that. Let's just say I enjoy the process of putting on makeup. So I hate rushing through my makeup routine. So I try to carve out about an hour's worth of time to do my makeup, to do my hair, drink my coffee, listen to my Bible app read to me. So I do all of those things kind of in that hour. Now, my hair, some of you may have seen my time tutorials. I can do my hair from wet to finished in less than 8 minutes. So I can do it faster, and I have actually done makeup, hair, and outfit in 10 minutes, but I hate doing that. So makeup wise, I would say I love to have 30 to 40 minutes or so, or longer if I want, but that's about the time frame that I usually like to carve out in the morning. Now, in closing, one of the fun questions and comments that I received was, it would be wonderful to have me come and do your makeup, come visit you all in Australia, in Scotland, all over. I would absolutely love that. At this point, I don't know that that's a possibility, but who knows? In the future, that could be fun. But along with that, I received the question as far as, is there a way to submit your pictures to me just because you're curious of what my advice would be to you? Absolutely, if you want to do that. Now, I'm not a makeup artist, but I have helped several people, and what they've done is they've just either emailed me their picture, or on Facebook, you can connect with me via the messenger, direct message me your picture, and you can ask me what questions you have about your skin or what I'm seeing. But I have seen several of you share pictures of your version of my haircut, and I just love that. I think you all are doing such an amazing job. I am so thrilled that you all are having fun with your makeup. And really, that's kind of what I want to say in closing. Keep having fun with your makeup. If you've been so confined by these rules that make you think you can't do this, you must have long hair, you can't wear shimmery, you can't wear dark lips, whatever, throw those rules out the window and just have some fun, and have some fun experimenting, because at the end of the day, it's just makeup. It can be washed off. Your hair can grow back. So have some fun with your hair and makeup. And thank you again so much for watching my videos, for commenting, for giving me questions to address in this video. I will continue to do these videos periodically. But again, I appreciate you all so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.